Hello, friends. Becoming a high-value woman is not about wealth, fame, or even the way the world perceives you. True value comes from within, from your character, your mindset, and the way you navigate life with grace and integrity. Imagine a woman who walks into a room, not for attention, but because her energy is magnetic. She's confident, yet humble. She speaks less, but when she speaks, people listen. Not because of what she says, but because of who she is. This is the essence of being high value. A high value woman invests in herself. She doesn't wait for others to define her worth, she builds it herself. For example, consider a young professional who decides to spend an hour every day learning something new, whether it's public speaking, a language, or a skill that enhances her career. Over time, she doesn't just grow professionally, she becomes mentally strong, emotionally mature, and socially influential. Her growth attracts opportunities effortlessly. Another aspect is emotional intelligence. A high-value woman understands herself deeply. She knows her triggers, her strengths, and her weaknesses. She doesn't react impulsively when faced with challenges. Instead, she pauses, reflects, and responds with wisdom. For instance, if someone criticizes her unfairly at work, instead of responding with anger, she calmly acknowledges the feedback, evaluates if it's constructive, and acts accordingly. This ability to remain composed under pressure sets her apart. Relationships play a huge role. High-value women cultivate meaningful connections rather than chasing popularity. They uplift others, practice empathy, and set healthy boundaries. Imagine a woman who listens patiently to her friends' struggles, offers guidance when needed, but also knows when to say no to protect her peace. She is respected, not just for her kindness, but for her self-respect. The final quality is purpose. A high-value woman knows why she exists. She aligns her actions with her goals and values. Rather than drifting aimlessly, she may volunteer, mentor, or pursue passions that make a difference. Take Malala Yousafzai, for example. Her purpose was so strong that despite adversity, she transformed her struggle into a global movement for education. Purpose makes a woman unstoppable and magnetic, regardless of external circumstances. So becoming a high-value woman is about constant self-improvement, emotional mastery, cultivating meaningful relationships, and living a life of purpose. It is a journey, not a destination. As you walk this path, remember, value is felt, not flaunted. It is measured not by what you have, but by the positive impact you create. When you live authentically, others will naturally recognize your worth. And remember, small, consistent steps matter more than grand gestures. Read a book, practice gratitude, help someone, or simply be patient with yourself. Over time, these small actions accumulate, and the woman you become will radiate confidence, wisdom, and authenticity. A true high-value woman in 2026. Becoming a high-value woman is not about your bank balance, appearance, or the number of people who notice you. True value comes from within, from the strength of your character, your mindset, and the way you conduct your life with dignity and grace. Imagine a woman who walks into a room quietly, yet her energy is palpable. People don't notice her because she demands attention. They notice her because she radiates calm, confidence, and integrity. Being high value is about cultivating inner richness that reflects outwardly, like a lamp that illuminates its surroundings without making noise. It is this silent magnetism that draws opportunities, respect, and meaningful relationships toward you naturally. The first step is self-investment. A high-value woman invests in her mind, body, and soul consistently. For example, take a young woman working in a corporate office. Every evening, she dedicates 30 minutes to reading, journaling, or practicing a skill that enhances her capabilities. Over time, she becomes knowledgeable, articulate, and resilient. She doesn't wait for others to define her worth. She builds it herself. This habit of daily self-growth might seem small, but like a seed planted in fertile soil, it grows into a tree that bears fruit for a lifetime. Investing in yourself sends a message to the world: I am valuable and I know it. Emotional intelligence is another hallmark of a high-value woman. She understands her emotions, controls her reactions, and responds to situations with maturity. For instance, When someone at work criticizes her unfairly, she doesn't react with defensiveness. Instead, she listens, evaluates if there is any truth in the feedback, and chooses a measured response. This calmness under pressure earns her respect. Emotional mastery is like water in a jar. When still, it reflects clarity. When turbulent, it distorts. High-value women strive to remain composed, making their decisions from wisdom rather than impulsivity. Building meaningful relationships is equally essential. High-value women don't chase popularity, they cultivate depth. They uplift others, listen with empathy, and maintain healthy boundaries. Consider a woman who volunteers at a local shelter. She doesn't just serve to be seen, she serves because it aligns with her values. Her kindness is paired with discernment. She knows when to say no to protect her energy. This balance of compassion and self-respect strengthens bonds and builds trust. People naturally gravitate toward those who radiate authenticity and care without losing themselves in the process. Purpose gives a woman her true strength. A high-value woman knows why she exists and aligns her actions with her values. Purpose fuels her choices, shapes her decisions, and anchors her during storms. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who, despite immense challenges, stood for education for all. Her sense of purpose transformed adversity into impact. Similarly, finding your purpose, whether it's mentoring others, creating art, or pursuing a meaningful career, gives life direction and magnetism. Purpose-driven women inspire others not by words alone, but by living their truth consistently. A high-value woman also practices self-care and gratitude. She prioritizes her physical, mental, and spiritual health, understanding that her energy determines her influence. Small habits like meditation, daily reflection, or acts of kindness compound over time. For example, a woman who starts her day with gratitude will approach challenges with optimism, and people around her feel that positive energy. High value is cultivated quietly, through everyday actions, consistency, and mindful living. It's the small choices repeated over time that create a life of impact, joy, and authenticity. Ultimately, becoming a high-value woman is a journey of self-awareness, growth, and purpose. It is about nurturing your mind, mastering your emotions, building meaningful relationships, and living intentionally. Remember, value is felt, not flaunted. It's reflected in your actions, your consistency, and your ability to inspire others by simply being yourself. Every small step you take toward personal growth, emotional mastery, empathy, and purpose accumulates into a life that commands respect and admiration. In 2026, let your focus be on becoming rich in character and purpose, and the world will recognize your true worth effortlessly. Investing in yourself is the foundation of becoming a high-value woman. It starts with the understanding that your growth is your responsibility. Imagine a woman who believes that life owes her nothing, yet she commits to learning, reflecting, and evolving every day. She dedicates time to read, study, or develop a skill, understanding that small daily efforts accumulate into significant transformation. Just as a river slowly carves a canyon over time, daily self-investment shapes your character, your mindset, and your influence. The most successful women are those who never stop growing internally, because external success without inner growth is like a beautifully wrapped empty gift. It looks good but lacks substance. The mind is the first domain to nurture. High-value women feed their intellect with knowledge, curiosity, and reflection. For instance, a young professional might spend 30 minutes each day reading books or listening to podcasts that expand her understanding of people, business, or philosophy. This habit may seem small, but over months and years, it sharpens critical thinking, communication, and creativity. Knowledge becomes a tool, not for showing off, but for serving and making wiser decisions. When challenges arise, a well-trained mind navigates them with clarity rather than panic. Investing in your mind is planting seeds for a future where opportunities naturally gravitate toward you. Equally important is emotional and spiritual nourishment. A woman who invests in her inner world practices reflection, meditation, or journaling. She examines her reactions, her fears, and her desires. For example, after a stressful day at work, instead of venting or seeking distractions, she takes 15 minutes to sit quietly, observe her thoughts, and reconnect with her purpose. This practice strengthens resilience, reduces impulsive behavior, and enhances self-awareness. Emotional and spiritual growth acts like a stabilizer in life. When storms hit, it keeps you grounded. A woman who invests in her soul becomes unshakable, radiating calm even in chaos. Physical self-investment is equally crucial. Health is the foundation upon which all other achievements rest. High-value women understand that exercise, nutrition, and sleep are not just routines, they are acts of respect for the body that carries their dreams. For instance, a woman who jogs or practices yoga daily not only maintains physical fitness, but also mental clarity. Physical activity releases endorphins, reducing stress and improving mood, which directly impacts interactions with others. By caring for her body, she demonstrates self-respect and sets an example for those around her. A strong, healthy body supports a strong, high-value mind and spirit. Time management is another way to invest in yourself. Every high-value woman treats time as a precious resource. She prioritizes tasks that contribute to growth instead of distractions that drain energy. For example, instead of scrolling mindlessly on social media, she may dedicate an hour to learning a new language or connecting with a mentor. These deliberate choices compound over time, creating momentum toward personal and professional growth. Time invested wisely accelerates transformation and builds habits that distinguish her from the crowd. High-value women understand that wasted time is the one resource they can never recover. Investing in yourself also means building resilience and adaptability. Life will throw unexpected challenges, career setbacks, relationship issues, or personal struggles. A woman who invests daily in self-growth develops mental toughness to face these challenges without losing composure. Consider someone who practices mindfulness, ND reflection. Every morning, when difficulties arise, she responds thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This resilience comes from consistent self-investment over time. It is like training for a marathon. The effort put in daily makes the body and mind capable of enduring long challenges with grace. Finally, investing in yourself creates a ripple effect in life. When you grow, learn, and evolve, it impacts your relationships, career, and overall well-being. Your confidence increases, your presence becomes magnetic, and your influence is felt even without words. For example, a woman who dedicates herself to personal growth inspires friends and colleagues to do the same. She demonstrates that value is cultivated from within, not bought or borrowed. In 2026, high-value women will be those who understand that every moment spent on self-improvement, mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual, is a step toward becoming a woman whose life is meaningful, impactful, and deeply respected. Emotional intelligence is the cornerstone of being a high-value woman. It is the ability to understand your own emotions, recognize the emotions of others, and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. A woman with emotional intelligence doesn't allow anger, jealousy, or fear to dictate her actions. For example, if someone criticizes her harshly at work, instead of lashing out or retreating in silence, she pauses, reflects, and chooses a measured response. This ability to manage emotions gracefully makes her respected, approachable, and influential in both personal and professional spheres. Emotional intelligence is not innate, it is cultivated with intention and daily practice. The first step in developing emotional intelligence is self-awareness. High-value women spend time observing their feelings and triggers. For instance, a woman who notices she becomes anxious before presentations doesn't blame circumstances. She examines why this happens and takes steps to prepare, breathe, and stay calm. Self-awareness allows you to take control rather than be controlled. Without awareness, emotions act like wild horses, pulling your life in directions you may regret. When you are aware of your emotional patterns, you create the freedom to respond thoughtfully and grow steadily in confidence. Equally important is self-regulation, the ability to pause before reacting. Emotional intelligence means choosing responses that align with your values and long-term goals. Consider a scenario where a friend or colleague insults you publicly. A woman with self-regulation doesn't respond defensively or retaliate. Instead, she may respond with grace, humor, or silence, maintaining dignity while preserving the relationship. This pause between stimulus and response is a powerful tool that demonstrates maturity and earns lasting respect. Over time, this consistent practice builds trust in how you handle conflicts and challenges. Empathy is another vital pillar of emotional intelligence. High-value women understand and feel the emotions of others without losing themselves. For example, when a friend shares a struggle, she listens deeply without immediately offering solutions or judgment. Her empathy allows her to connect on a meaningful level, making relationships richer and more authentic. Empathy is not just about kindness, it's about seeing the world through others' perspectives while maintaining clarity about your own boundaries and needs. This skill transforms interactions and builds influence naturally. Social skills complement emotional intelligence by allowing women to navigate relationships with tact and understanding. A woman who communicates clearly, listens attentively, and adapts to situations becomes a leader in her circles. For instance, a manager who recognizes the stress in her team and addresses it compassionately while maintaining accountability creates a positive and productive environment. High-value women use social skills not for manipulation, but for creating harmony, resolving conflicts, and inspiring others. These skills make them magnetic in both professional and personal spaces. Emotional intelligence also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable, and high-value women face setbacks with composure. By understanding their emotions, they prevent negative feelings from spiraling out of control. For example, if a project fails or a relationship ends, they acknowledge the hurt, learn from it, and move forward without bitterness. This resilience comes from daily practices like reflection, mindfulness, and honest self-evaluation. Women who master emotional intelligence become emotionally unshakable, able to navigate storms without losing clarity, dignity, or purpose. Ultimately, cultivating emotional intelligence is a lifelong journey. It transforms the way you think, communicate, and relate to the world. A high-value woman demonstrates patience, understanding, empathy, and wisdom, making her presence soothing, inspiring, and respected. Every choice to pause, reflect, or respond consciously builds this inner strength. In 2026, women who invest in emotional mastery will stand out, not for superficial reasons, but because they bring calm, clarity, and authentic influence wherever they go. Emotional intelligence is not just a skill. It is a way of living that makes you truly high value. Building meaningful relationships is one of the hallmarks of a high value woman. She understands that quality matters more than quantity. It's not about having hundreds of friends or being liked by everyone. It's about cultivating connections that uplift, inspire, and nurture both sides. Imagine a woman who surrounds herself with people who challenge her positively, encourage her growth, and share mutual respect. These relationships are built on trust, understanding, and shared values, rather than convenience or superficial charm. Meaningful relationships enrich life, providing support during challenges and joy during celebrations. Empathy is at the heart of authentic connections. High-value women take the time to truly understand the feelings, needs, and perspectives of others. For example, when a friend is going through a difficult phase, she listens actively without interrupting or immediately giving advice. She validates their emotions and offers support that aligns with the friend's needs. Empathy creates deep bonds because people feel seen, heard, and valued. This skill requires patience and practice, but the payoff is immeasurable. Relationships built on genuine care and emotional alignment are resilient and enduring. Setting healthy boundaries is equally crucial. A high-value woman knows that saying no when necessary is not selfish, it is self-respect. For instance, she might decline a social invitation when she needs rest or focus on personal growth without feeling guilty. Boundaries protect her energy and ensure that her relationships are balanced, where giving and receiving respect coexist. Without boundaries, even the strongest relationships can become draining or toxic. High-value women teach others how to treat them by clearly defining what is acceptable, ensuring that all interactions remain nurturing rather than depleting. Consistency in effort strengthens relationships. It is not enough to be empathetic. Once in a while, high-value women show up consistently for the people they care about. For example, she may check in with a friend going through a crisis, celebrate small achievements of loved ones, or simply offer her presence when needed. These small, repeated actions communicate care and reliability. Over time, consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of meaningful connections. People remember the ones who stand by them steadily, not just in moments of convenience. High-value women also practice discernment in their relationships. Not everyone deserves equal investment of time and energy. She observes the energy others bring into her life and chooses to focus on people who align with her values and encourage growth. For example, a colleague who is constantly negative or manipulative might be kept at a professional distance, while friends who inspire, motivate, and support her are nurtured. Discernment ensures that her relationships remain positive, empowering, and harmonious. Conflict management is another skill that enhances authentic relationships. High-value women address disagreements calmly, with empathy and clarity. For instance, if a misunderstanding occurs with a partner or colleague, she communicates her perspective without blame, listens to the other side, and seeks resolution rather than victory. This approach prevents resentment and strengthens trust. Conflict, when handled wisely, becomes an opportunity to deepen connection and understanding rather than weaken it. Ultimately, building meaningful, authentic relationships requires a balance of empathy, boundaries, consistency, and discernment. A high-value woman invests in people thoughtfully, nurturing bonds that are uplifting and sustainable. She does not compromise her values to please others, yet she approaches relationships with warmth, care, and generosity. In 2026, women who master this art will naturally attract relationships that are supportive, joyful, and inspiring. Their presence will bring value not just to themselves, but to everyone fortunate enough to share in their lives. Living purposefully is the essence of a high-value woman. Purpose is like a compass. It gives direction to every action, decision, and thought. Without purpose, even success can feel hollow, and life can drift aimlessly like a boat in a storm. Imagine a woman who knows what truly matters to her, her values, her passions, and the impact she wants to create. Every choice she makes, from how she spends her time to how she treats others, is aligned with that inner compass. Purpose transforms ordinary actions into meaningful steps, creating a life of clarity, fulfillment, and influence. The first step in living purposefully is self-reflection. High-value women regularly ask themselves, what are my values? What impact do I want to leave behind? For example, a woman may discover that her core values are honesty, compassion, and creativity. She then evaluates her daily routines and choices, whether her career, relationships, or habits are consistent with these values. Reflection creates awareness, and awareness allows intentional living. Purpose is not discovered in a single moment. It is cultivated through repeated introspection and alignment of actions with values. Setting clear goals is the next step. A high-value woman translates purpose into action by defining measurable, meaningful goals. For instance, if her purpose is to educate and empower young women, she may set a goal to mentor a few students each month or create content that inspires others. Goals are milestones that bridge the gap between vision and reality. They prevent life from being a series of random events and instead turn daily actions into progress towards something bigger than oneself. Purpose without goals is like a seed left unplanted. It has potential but cannot bear fruit. Discipline and consistency fuel purpose-driven living. Knowing your purpose is not enough. Acting on it daily is what creates impact. For example, a woman who dreams of writing a book will dedicate time every morning to write, edit, and plan, even when motivation wanes. These small, disciplined efforts compound over months and years, eventually producing remarkable results. Purposeful living demands persistence, patience, and resilience. It is a marathon, not a sprint, and consistent action transforms intentions into tangible achievements. Living purposefully also requires courage. High-value women sometimes need to make decisions that go against societal pressure, expectations or comfort zones. For instance, a woman may leave a stable job to pursue her passion because it aligns with her values. This requires courage, because purpose-driven choices may invite criticism, doubt, or uncertainty. Yet courage in alignment with purpose builds authenticity, confidence, and lasting fulfillment. Fear is natural, but purpose gives the strength to act despite it. Purposeful living enhances influence and inspiration. When a woman consistently acts in alignment with her values, she becomes a role model for others. People are drawn to her clarity, confidence, and integrity. For example, a woman dedicated to environmental causes inspires her community through her lifestyle choices and advocacy. Purpose amplifies impact. It turns ordinary actions into extraordinary influence. High-value women are not just focused on themselves, they leave positive ripples that touch lives around them. Ultimately, living purposefully transforms life into a journey of meaning, impact, and fulfillment. Every decision, habit, and interaction becomes intentional, reflecting inner values. A high-value woman does not chase external validation, she follows her inner compass, creating a life aligned with her goals and principles. In 2026, women who embrace purposeful living will experience clarity, joy, and resilience, attracting success and relationships naturally. Purpose is the secret that turns a good life into an extraordinary one, and it is the defining trait of a truly high-value woman.